I've wandered this world for what feels like an age. I've come to know the very nature of its mountains, its valleys, its oceans, even its creatures. And yet, I sense something has changed. The winds feel unfamiliar. The waves carry a strange, new weight. It's as if the very ground trembles with anticipation, and that can only mean one thing. It has arrived.
So excited! The Meerkats from our server has officially updated to 1.19 and expanded the world borders so that we can explore all the new content. The timing couldn't be more perfect because today I'm in search of inspiration. I mean, perspiration. Wait, no, sorry, I was right the first time. I'm urgently in need of an idea that will help guide the design of my entry for the server's village upgrade competition. Minecraft might be one of the most useful tools for creativity out there, and if you ask me, that's the game's biggest strength by a wide margin. But to be creative, you first need to be inspired with new ideas. From time to time, many, if not most players in this game, including myself when I'm not careful, have forgotten to keep these two concepts in balance. And the result is this weird limbo feeling where you're filled with all that drive and energy to continue being creative, but without any inspiration, you have nowhere to channel it. That's why one of the most important skills to have as a Minecraft player is the ability to seek out inspiration. So in today's episode, I'm going to teach you some tricks that'll help make sure you never run out of things to build in this game. Now, I personally find inspiration in all sorts of ways. It can come from TV shows, concept art, music, the YouTubers I subscribe to, not to mention my own real-life experiences and memories. But one of the most lucrative sources of inspiration is Minecraft itself. Somehow this game manages to be adventurous, peaceful, grounded, magical, familiar, alien, quaint, vast, horrifying, and super derpy all at the same time. I can't think of anything else that feels quite so broad but balanced. And when Mojang works on a new update, they do everything they can to help keep that balance. With ice comes fire. With cooperation comes hostility. With new heights come new depths. 1.19 doesn't only contribute to that balance by adding the creepy in with the cute, because just like all the ones before it, this wild update adds tons of new tools for creativity while balancing them out with just as many new sources of inspiration. Now, I've already got a vague idea of what I want to accomplish with my village. First and foremost, I want this place to tell a story. As I mentioned last episode, that story is going to revolve around the server's dragon egg. I'm going to have just one of each type of villager, and they're all going to contribute in some way to the village's lore. Second, I want to model this village after a biome where villagers don't naturally generate. When picking a village, I came across a few contenders that bordered mesas, jungles, even coral reefs, but when I stumbled upon this cave, I immediately knew I wanted to model the design after one of the game's newest features, cave biomes. There's 3 to choose from: lush caves, dripstone caves, and as of this update, the deep dark. I'm not sure which one I'll go with yet, but the deadline for this competition is approaching much quicker than I'd like, and if I don't start building today, I'll have no hope of finishing this in time. Therefore, even though we'll probably come across all sorts of crazy ideas for future builds, I'm also going to specifically be looking out for any sources of inspiration that will help guide my choice of village design. We can't afford to waste another second! So let's start our quest for inspiration using trick number 1. Explore your world. This is one of my favorite ways to get inspired, and it's definitely the one that requires the least amount of effort on our part. All we need to do is clear our heads, put on our favorite tunes, and set off. There are new and undiscovered lands out there just waiting to inspire us. So let's just head in a random direction and check out as many of them as we can. No maps, no methods. We're just going to use our gut instincts to show us the path forward. I should quickly mention that while it would definitely be quickest to travel by elytra, for this trick to work best, you need to feel immersed in the world around you, and flying has a tendency to counteract that. You don't need to take much with you, just make sure you bring plenty of food, a bed, and maybe an ender chest in case you don't feel like walking back and decide to take the quick route back to spawn. As you travel further into the wild, pay attention to the shape of the land and its features. And don't be afraid to make some new friends along the way. Now, just for a brief moment, imagine that your true self has been fully transported into the game. Think about what it would feel like to walk across slippery, moss-covered stones and warm, sandy beaches. What it would smell like to walk through a sulfury basalt delta or an aromatic flower forest. What sounds you might hear in the desolate void or at the foot of a powerful waterfall. Remember, the goal of this journey is not to reach a destination, it's to experience something new. And I think I've just spotted somewhere we can do exactly that. Let's explore this place a little and see what inspiration it has to offer. Already, I think I might be in love. It's messy, it's muddy, and it's full of life. Everything about these new mangrove trees, their shape, their color, their propagules, feels incredibly unique. These frogs are so full of character! And I hadn't realized tropical fish and bees spawned here too. That was a super pleasant surprise. But what I love about this new mangrove swamp biome more than any individual ingredient is the way Mojang have assembled them into something that feels completely new and at the same time very in keeping with the world around it. From just these few brief moments poodling around in my boat, weaving a path through all the roots and vines, enjoying the ambience, I can't help but picture all the ways I can incorporate this atmosphere and these new features into a lush cave village, where the houses are sitting on stilts over top of a shallow reservoir fed by natural springs and quaint little waterfalls. Visitors could get around on boats, through canals brimming with creatures and overgrowth. Mangrove and jungle trees could house parrots. Misty hot springs and spore blossoms could fill the air with movement and texture. And the natural darkness of the cave would be overwhelmed by a grove of colorful glowberries, frog lights, and maybe even some floating candles. Whew, well, I think it's fair to say this method has successfully led me to my first moment of inspiration. The clock's still ticking on that village project though. We still have 2 more cave biomes to consider, and 2 more methods to try out. So let's take one last look around, breathe it all in, then lie back and see where the current takes us next. Oh, huh. It seems it took us all the way over to my test world. That must mean it's time for trick number 2. Have a creative session. We've come here into this creative world to take a much closer look at some of the blocks, specifically to see how their properties, shapes, and textures line up with the blocks that are already in the game. This is one of my favorite ways to come up with new ideas, and I'm actually really excited about some of the stuff included in this update. After all, I live in Canada, which means I can literally step outside from the room where I'm recording this and experience beautiful birch forests, archaeological discoveries, and fireflies. Okay, so like some of you, I'll admit I felt a little shortchanged when they rolled back some of the features they'd advertised, but it's important to remember that despite those rollbacks, 1.19 is still one of the most ambitious updates we've had to date. I mean, just look at all these brand new blocks. Each one of them has the potential to unlock hundreds of new build ideas. But to unlock them all, we first need to find the right set of keys. And Mojang puts a lot of effort into making sure those keys are really hard to find. Here's the good news though, this is not my first update, and I'm starting to catch wise to their devious ways. In fact, time and time again, I'm starting to learn that the poster they release with each update is often one of the most lucrative sources of hidden clues, but I'll get to that a little later. For now, I should start off by revealing that I have been a little bit devious myself. You see, I knew this update would release sometime this summer, so I chose the topics of the first few episodes in this series quite deliberately to help prepare us for this very challenge. Let's revisit those topics and use them to help us unlock all the inspiration hiding in the new colors, textures, mechanics, and shapes. Starting at the very beginning, get hyped everyone, because it's time to return to the color wheel! Okay, the first key is going to come in the form of colors. Specifically, we've got to find a particular color palette that Mojang have hidden somewhere in the update. So, where did they hide it? Right here in the blocks. Let's take a closer look at them and see if we can spot the hidden color palette lurking somewhere in their depths. starting with frog lights. We've got 3 kinds: a verdant bluish green, an ochre amber, and a pearlescent purple. If you map them onto the color wheel, you'll notice that they make up a perfect triadic color palette, which if you remember means it contains 3 colors equally spaced apart around the wheel. And I guarantee you this is no accident. But anyway, that's just one block type. Let's look at some of the others before we jump to conclusions. What about things like skulk, mud, and mangrove? Let's see what new colors they add to our palette. I've used an eyedropper to match the colors of these squares to specific pixels within the blocks, and to make the colors a little easier to see, I've added a second set of squares with those same hues, but with increased saturation and brightness. That's still not all of them though. What about the blocks that contain multiple colors within their texture, like rooted mud? Are you getting it yet? Each update focuses all their new features around one singular color palette, and every single pixel is deliberately chosen to ensure each of these new colors is added into the game in a wide variety of ways. Okay, so we have our first key. Let's see what we can unlock with it. First, we can use this to unlock gradients that were previously full of holes. Second, if we scroll through the creative menu and pick out all the older blocks whose textures fit into this palette, we can unlock new uses for old blocks. Finally, by understanding what colors have been added or expanded upon, we can unlock entire architectural styles that were previously difficult to represent. As you can see, there's tons more to explore and discover using just this first key, but we gotta keep moving, so let's move on to the next topic we covered. In episode 3, we found new ways to use individual blocks. In this step, each and every block represents another key for unlocking new decorations. For example, let's take a look at the new Skulk Catalyst with totally fresh eyes. If nobody had told me this block represents a quasi-living nightmarish creature that turns death into corruption, how on earth would I ever have guessed that? Because all it looks like is a table with a tablecloth, or a Harry Potter style memory pensieve, or the X in a tic-tac-toe minigame. Mangrove logs look a bit like rotisserie meat. When placed over cyan blocks, skulk veins make a convincing soulfire equivalent to magma. Waterlogged roots could be planters for lush and colorful flowers. And if you hook up a shrieker to some redstone and an ender porter, you've got yourself a sci-fi teleportation pad. And by the way, in case anyone other than me thought that this last one would be crazy dangerous, don't worry, I've just looked it up and the wiki confirms shriekers will not summon wardens if they've been picked up and moved somewhere else. Alright, on to our next type of key. In episode 4, I talked about the importance of connecting builds and players to one another using infrastructure. In this stage, our keys are going to lie in the brand new mechanics that they've added. I think it's going to take me a while to understand how the allays and skulk sensors work, but I'm sure you could probably work out to have an allay carry a book with a message over to another player, and it also occurs to me you could probably relay Morse code using the skulk sensors. You could even assign different meanings to all the different new goat horns and use them to send coded messages to friends or teammates. You may also remember that in episode 4, I teased the idea of implementing a new form of public transit to the shopping district as part of the harbor design, and this seems as good a time as any to reveal to you all what that's gonna be. Behold, the lazy river. Is it slow? Yes. Is it derpy? The derpiest. But I can't describe to you just how much joy I get from sitting back and letting the current take me on a peaceful, meandering journey. I originally came up with this design years ago for a project I was working on in a survival realm, but the best version of this I've ever built was on a server I used to play on called Alpal. My computer at the time was a potato and couldn't handle screen recording. So I'm really sorry, this sucks, I hate it, but hopefully this will give you a good idea of what I'm going for. I'll go over how to build a lazy river in a separate video, but the reason I wanted to show this to you guys today is that this update introduces boats with chests. And guys, they actually work with hoppers! That unlocks our ability to use this old lazy river design to create new ways to give life and connection to our builds. Imagine for a moment a Venetian-style industrial farming area, where all the boats travel along canals to collect resources from farms and bring them back to your central storage. Alright, let's search for one final type of key using the perception principles we talked about last episode. In this stage, we'll unlock inspiration by fitting the blocks together like puzzle pieces to create new ways to pack a ton of detail into a tiny space. The new skulk blocks are the perfect way to show you what I mean, because they already fit together seamlessly. This already unlocks our ability to create new shapes, patterns, and decorations that aren't bound by the borders between each 1x1 block. But let's see if we can find even more puzzle pieces that fit into these blocks using the ones already available in the game. We just need a block that matches into this bony skulk texture. So let's think. We need a block that's not only a lime green color, but is also very desaturated. Alright, some viewers might be feeling a little bit smug right now, because they remember that back in episode 2, I cranked up the saturation of the end stone texture to reveal it's actually more of a lime green than a yellow. But to that, I want to say a couple things. First, while Endstone works great in the color palette, it's just a little too bright to seamlessly fit in with the skulk blocks. And second, if you thought for just one moment that I couldn't do this to you twice, you better hold on to your hats. Because if I crank up the saturation and the brightness, mossy, cobble, it's the exact same hue as Endstone. Let's see what they look like next to the new skulk blocks. And if any of you still aren't shocked, let's circle back to what I said at the start of this creative session when I told you that the poster that Minecraft released for this update was full of all sorts of devious clues. Bam, right there. Mossy cobblestone. In fact, there's also prismarine, and cactuses, and kelp, and sea lanterns, and raw gold, and coal ore, and creepers. It's even divided into 3 sections centered around Alex.
It's all a conspiracy, dude.
Nah, I'm kidding, it's just a poster. I'm really curious why the dog's there though. Alright, so this has been a fun little puzzle to solve, and it's resulted in tons of new ideas for future builds, but more than that, it's opened my eyes to all sorts of new possibilities for our Dragon Cave village. Because thanks to this session, we've unlocked the ability to blend dripstone minerals into new stone colors. Then, to accent all those intricate shapes and details, we could backlight the entire cavern by turning the stone pillar in the middle here into a stream of viscous, caramelly lava, cascading into a giant, molten whirlpool. It's starting to get really hard to resist the urge to start building these ideas. But we've got one more method, so let's head back to the server and try it out. Let me pick some stuff up at my base real quick, and then we'll head over to the cave. As opposed to that first method where we followed our instincts, in this step we'll be doing sort of the opposite. Because in this method we need to leave our comfort zone. This can mean a couple of things. First of all, we're going to break free of any habits. Build without using your favorite block, or build with your least favorite block. If you usually fly between builds, make yourself a trail so you can go by horse, or I don't know, even a saddled pig. I have a nasty habit of my own that I think I need to kick. If you watched last episode, you'll know that my base is covered in buttons, and any parts that don't have buttons are just covered in torch spam. The reason I'm like that is pretty simple. I never ever want to be surprised by mobs, especially creepers and ghasts, because they do so much damage. I know the lighting mechanics changed, I know I should trust them, but I just don't. At least not yet. I'm working on it. But anyway, the most valuable thing to me in this game is to know that I'm in a mob-free zone, where I can stand, relax, and feel safe. And that mentality is not gonna work great for this build. It is mob central down there. Regardless of what style we go with, this place needs to be safe for visitors, villagers, judges, and most of all, it needs to be safe for me while I'm building it. I'm still probably gonna torch spam 1 or 2 areas here and there, just places that'll be easy to tidy up or hide behind some decorations, but this cave is enormous. I know what I'm like, and if I make a mess this big, I probably won't have the self-discipline to go back and clean it up later. So let's break that habit and turn this task into an opportunity to come up with an inspiring new solution. I've actually already thought of something. I have no idea if it'll work, but let's find out together. First, I need to dig down here a little bit. But to make sure we don't create any eyesores or safety hazards on the surface, we'll cover up that hole with some glass and a moss carpet. As you can see, the cave roof starts just a few blocks under the surface. So with very little digging, we've already made ourselves a skylight. I don't want holes in my roof though, so let's cover this up with some string and light gray carpet to match into the stone. And finally, I'm gonna put a piston here, which means with the flip of a switch, we can block and unblock the daylight from entering the cave. And finally, I'm going to put a sticky piston here, because I'm very smart, and I'm very good at redstone. Oh, good, it works. While I build some more skylights, let me quickly address the flaw I'm sure a lot of you have spotted in the system. It doesn't work at night. I'm fine with that though. I've got my bed on me at all times, and I always try and sleep through the night anyway. Plus, while I would personally love to watch an angry mob of zombies and skeletons chase Edie around his surface village, I don't want him to lose all of his villagers just because I spent ages building down here without ever sleeping. What's more is that this method gives me the freedom to build really easily in the light, but then instantly flip a switch and see how it'll look when it's all finished and it's all mob-proof and the area is permanently dark. And oh, wait, why isn't it working? I did all the stuff. Well, it's definitely turned on. Oh, wait. Edie! Alright, well, I guess there's 2 flaws. And, okay, this actually worked out way better than I expected. Wait, watch. I'm gonna flick the switch. Kapow! Love it. Right, so breaking any nasty habits is an amazing way to get inspired by new solutions. But as I said earlier, it's not the only way to leave your comfort zone, and the other one is a lot more literal. As we've already established, I avoid mobs at all costs and rarely seek out any interactions with them. I never explore mineshafts, dungeons, guardian temples, even end cities are a bit much for me, and they're relatively tame. But in order to fully appreciate all the inspiration this update has to offer, I'm gonna have to scrape together what little courage I can muster, because it's time to take on the deep dark. Just because I'm trying new things does not mean I have to go it alone. So I've talked to a couple other Meerkats, and we're all gonna band together and investigate this nightmarish new realm as a team. All right, let's do this.
I brought a bed and some food. Does anybody need anything?
All right, so I have wool, bucket of water.
I haven't looked up
Okay,
any
10 more
of this
blocks.
stuff. Is the shield gonna do much?
Not against the sonic shriek.
Okay,
Oh, we're here.
let me put rockets. Oh, I'm gonna put a bed down over here.
Good idea.
Okay.
Don't use ladder.
Don't use ladders?
Yeah, because they're so loud. Leroy Jenkins.
Where is the shrieker? Oh, there it is.
Other side disc.
Nice.
Okay, so if you fall
Swift
onto
sneak
wool
3.
without sneaking,
Sweet, good job.
No way.
First chest I opened. My vision's running out.
What is that?
This
I
fragment.
just set off a shrieker that
that
I didn't
you?
know was here.
I heard it come out.
Oh my
Who's
gosh,
that?
that scared me. The
Only actually
heartbeat
appeared
is
in
so
the
weird. Why is it that he can smell me? Like, what is that all about?
I took a shower, I promise.
Where do you even find skeleton heads?
Well, they're like part of decoration here now.
I am pretty sure that another warden just
What?
Oh, one came
that's
out.
another one that comes out.
Came out.
Oh my god, I am
I can hear.
You,
warden.
Where is he?
where I just came from, I can't see right away.
I don't know where I am.
Me neither.
Oh, it's close.
Getting close.
By the looks of the map, we're all spread out.
Oh, there's another one.
No, I really don't like this. Oh, Edie.
Careful! Oh my god!
Oh, I can't see anything.
Me neither.
I think I'm at the altar?
He's coming after you now.
Who, me?
no.
Edie, stop going to me.
I can't see at all.
If I
Yeah.
stop moving and he's right next to me,
There's
can
so-
he still
Oh,
find me?
I'm running away! I don't know where you guys are,
I
but I'm
found the
getting
warden
away.
and it's right in front of you, Zoe.
Oh! Oh my god. He smells me! Oh!
Oh no,
Oh,
Score.
man. So good. Did you pick up my stuff?
No, I don't know where you died.
When he hit me,
Oh my god, he's on me!
my heart.
Oh,
How much?
I don't like this. I can't find the exit. Wow. Okay, that was genuinely stomach churning at times. All those new mobs and the skulk veins seem so slimy and tentacly and I don't like it. But I must say, I think in its own way, that was perhaps the most inspiring part of today's adventures. Behind all the horrifying shrieks and the creeping dread was one of the most stunning aesthetics Mojang have ever incorporated into the game. And the sheer sense of history and lore is exactly what I'm looking to replicate in this Dragon Egg Cave. Alright, we've got to make that first build before the end of the episode, and we're quickly running out of time, so moment of truth. Which is it gonna be? As I weigh these options, I need to consider something incredibly important. Inspiration isn't just a compass that points us to the destination, it's also the fuel that's gonna get us there. Between now and finishing this village, we'll face months of challenging builds, setbacks, grinds, and after watching Edie's new Meerkats series, I fear we may also have to face a few guardians as well. If I choose an idea that doesn't give me enough fuel to get me through all of that, I'll put myself at risk of running out of gas, meaning it ends up unfinished, or I have to overexert myself for the final stretch and end up feeling burned out. I love all these concepts we put together today, and I'd be happy to choose any one of them as our destination, but let's work out what it was about each idea that fueled my excitement to start building. First, exploring the world inspired me to imagine a lush oasis teeming with color and luminescence. Then, our creative session inspired me to combine the new textures and shapes into striking geological features, backlit by a primordial whirlpool. And finally, leaving my comfort zone and venturing into the deep dark inspired me to find beauty and story in an unfamiliar aesthetic. If I'd have just waited for inspiration to come to me, I might still have lucked out and stumbled across one of these three concepts. But then we'd be in trouble because none of these ideas have enough fuel to get me to the finish line. But we didn't wait. We actively sought out inspiration using those three techniques, and that means we're now in a position to take the best parts of each idea and Frankenstein them together. Just thinking about this concept fills me with way more inspiration than I'll ever need to put this thing together. In fact, I don't think I can wait a single second to get it started. Let me just gather some materials and kick this place into gear. Behold, the Skulk Whirlpool. I cannot wait to see how this place comes together, but there's only enough time in this episode for one more cool idea, and this one I can't actually do off camera because it's going to involve all of you. You see, tackling a topic as high concept as inspiration so early in this series has very much taken me beyond my comfort zone. But if you remember, leaving your comfort zone isn't something you have to do by yourself. And this is where you guys come in. I want to use the comments section of this video as a spot for all of us to inspire each other. You could share the name of an artist or a band that gives you inspiration, share an idea that you like but don't quite love yet, and see if anyone's reply reveals that one secret special ingredient that you were missing. And it doesn't matter if you're watching this video right as it comes out or months or years in the future. I mean, maybe right at this moment, we're all searching for clay pot build hacks after the 1.20 archaeology update comes out, or exploring the new Banana Hills biome from the 1.25 soups and spices update. And who knows, right at this moment, we might even be overanalyzing the poster Mojang made for the 1.36 update when they finally get around to adding a crafting recipe for bundles. But no matter when you are, if we use this comment section to pull together all of our ideas, we'll know where to go to find more inspiration than we'll ever need. And trust me when I say, you guys have the power to inspire others. Because reading through all the comments you guys leave on these videos always gives me the inspiration and the fuel I need to push through some of the obstacles and challenges I've encountered while putting this series together. So all that's left to say is thank you so much for your support lately, and I will see you in episode 7. Bye! Why are you like this?